There are a few options when looking for a thin, light, powerful 15.6-inch notebook, with flavours from Apple, Gigabyte, MSI and Razer. These are great, but who would have thought that Dell would have been put into the same bracket as these guys? Introducing the Dell XPS 15. This is the Dell XPS 15. It's a thin, light, powerful notebook, and it is really thin. It's about the same thickness as 6 English pound coins, or the same as 2 of my Nexus 5s. This is of course nowhere near as slim as a MacBook Air, or even the full Ultrabook spec, but when you consider the hardware you get inside of this, you really can't complain. The model I have here is what would be classed as upper middle range model. It has a Core i7-4702HQ, which runs at 2.2 GHz and turbos to 3.3 GHz. It also features a 1TB hard drive with SSD caching, 16 GB of 1600 MHz RAM, which is 2 sticks of 8 gigs, a NVIDIA GT750M GPU with 2 GB of GDDR5 RAM, and a beautiful, if not slightly annoying, 3200 by 1800 QHD Plus touchscreen. If we take a look on the outside, we see, when the lid is closed, a very nice brushed metal lid with a shiny black Dell logo in the centre. If we look on the left hand side, we find the power plug, a HDMI, mini display port, 2 USB 3s, which both feature high power functionality, as well as a headphone microphone combo port, and finally a battery checker, which I guess is useful. On the right hand side we have a Kensington lock, 1 USB 2 and another USB 3, both with high power functionality, as well as a full SD card reader. Looking at the front, you don't see a lot unless you're looking carefully just underneath, where there is a grille that houses some speakers and some general ventilation into the system. And at the back we see nothing apart from the hinge for that screen. If we open it up, we get to see the beautiful, if not painful, more on that later, 3200 by 1800 QHD Plus screen. This is an IPS screen and it features a glossy cover which is really quite reflective. As you'll probably see, you may see the camera in the reflection. Moving down you have what seems to be a very small keyboard, but it is normal size, trust me. As well as a huge touch/click pad thingy that can't seem to make up its mind what it is. Also notice there's a nice lack of stickers apart from one tastefully placed Intel Ultrabook spec. Finally, looking at the bottom of the device, we see the wonderful, and I have to think slightly gimmicky, carbon fibre shell. It has a nice XPS middle plate and 2 rubber strips to keep it from suffocating the hardware inside and allow non-slip on surfaces. As well as this, there are ventilation holes, and on the back ones, if I can get my camera to work, there are 2 small fans for the ventilation. So what's this laptop for? Obviously it's not for the 11-year-old kid at school who needs to do some PowerPoints, a few Word documents and to play Paint or something. It's not for the household that goes on the internet shopping or surfs Facebook. I see it's being aimed at 2 types of people. Obviously there's a businessman. This is a business class laptop, it is Dell, they like their businessmen. There's also the creative professionals. For both of these, they will find the thinness and the lightness will be perfect for travelling around. As well as this, you can get your gaming on and have serious horsepower to do anything you put your mind to from the great specs inside. It is what I think a MacBook Pro killer. It has the CPU and GPU combination and the RAM to be able to do some serious creative work, as much like the Mac Pro, but cheaper. The performance of this thing is amazing. It really could be a desktop replacement, and in fact, most likely it's more powerful than most family desktops. It still has mobile chips. They do have their limitations. The CPU is amazing, and I have done some video rendering / 3D CAD work on it, and it doesn't feel laboured like my old laptop did. But obviously it's nowhere near the same as my overclocked 3770K that I have in my desktop. It just, yeah, but it does hold its ground. The GPU does have some serious punch as well. I'll have a video out later with some benchmarks on some high-end games against whatever computers and GPUs I can find. But again, you're going to have to think it's mobile. It can run things on high, but it won't be able to run them on the native resolution. That's nearly 4K you're talking at. Most high-end computers will not do that. I like to do it but at 1080p or even 1600 by 900, which is an exact derivative of the native resolution, and you don't get any weird interpolating stuff. When you do this, you can run games on high, no problem. Runs them like there's no tomorrow. It's frankly astonishing. The keyboard on this thing I really like. It took me a while to get used to it being exactly centered. I don't even run my desktop keyboard exactly centered. But when I got used to that, the keys are, it's a dream. I got used to not having a number pad. It has a nice amount of travel in the keys. The gaps between the keys and the key sizes themselves are perfect. The only slight annoyance I can find is a small backspace, but again, when you get used to it, you don't even notice it's gone. I do think for the business users a number pad would have been nice, but I can see why they didn't do it. It would have messed up the clean lines and very symmetrical look of the Dell XPS. Now don't get me wrong, I still think this is the best Windows option for thin and light, but it does have some problems that can be lived with. The screen is the first thing I notice, and I'll try to put some screenshots up of what's gone wrong. The screen itself isn't fine. In fact, it's beautiful. The colour reproduction is amazing, there are no dead pixels, it's extremely bright when you need it to be, and it's so sharp. But Windows 8 is just not ready for a nearly 4K display resolution, especially in this screen size. Most things worked fine and were extremely crisp, but the annoyance was with certain applications and certain developers. One of them would be Dropbox, where it was just so small in the bottom of the corner that even me with really good eyesight couldn't see what's going on. And YouTube had some weird things with flash videos where the UI was just so small and so unusable, and such a small thing, it's just, you'll see. I solved this by dropping the resolution to some weird ass resolution that's just over 1080p, and everything's fine. I would however recommend getting the 1080p version of this laptop now if you're buying it, but you never know, Windows might sort itself out. The next gripe I have with this laptop is the battery life. Dell states on the website that it's up to 9 hours, and I guess this would be true of the SSD only one, but because they have to remove the extra battery to put a hard drive in, they only get to about 3 to 4 hours of general use. Now that is, for me, several like sleep cycles and watching videos and listening to music whilst doing Word, but yeah, 3 to 4 hours is not amazing. As well as this, there is a small problem of the keyboard placement, which in my opinion is far too far back. It does allow for that ginormous touch clicky pad thing, but when you're wearing a watch, I find typing is almost impossible because the watch catches upon the wrist rest. It's just something that needs to be sorted. Final thing I have against this laptop is the noise. It's perfectly silent when you're doing general tasks and even quite serious multitasking with 1,000 million Firefox tabs open, Steam, your photo editing thing in the background and not doing anything. It's silent. The fans don't even turn on. But as soon as you go into a game or you're starting to render or you're starting to do anything serious, the fans come on, and my housemates are convinced this laptop takes off at times. You may think I'm hating on this laptop, but it does have some flaws that could prove to be extremely annoying to people who are picky, and it deserves to be picky when you're spending this much on a laptop. It does come with some great features though. The screen, although extremely annoying when at native resolution, is still super clear and looks fantastic when at the odd resolution I'm running. The keyboard is a great experience to type on, with decent keystroke lengths, right size keys, right size spacing, and the backlight is just fantastic. The thin and light aspect makes it excellent for carrying around, and the ability to do what you want to the hardware is amazing. When you whip the bottom off with just some Torx screws, You can take RAM, hard drives, SSDs, heat sinks, batteries, almost anything else with very little difficulty and a few standardised screws. And the performance, of course, is just unreal for the size of it. Okay, so I had to go on the bad points of this laptop. But I think the next iteration, if they fix these small problems, it would literally be perfect. I use it daily, and if I'm honest, these problems don't cause my arms to fall off and me to sit in the corner crying. In fact, I forgot about them until I had to be critical again to do this. If you're looking for a thin, light, powerful Windows machine, this is it. I did a lot of research. The others may be great at more gaming, the others may be great at better battery life. This was the best balance I could find. If you like this video, then please be sure to give it your love with the like button. If you think I missed some information or have something I could improve on in the video, then please let me know in the comments. And of course, thanks for watching.